Heyo, you're listening to Edge Coach Quip, featuring our very own Edge coaches and community, dropping knowledge nuggets to fuel your day.
Hello and welcome to episode 122 of Coach Quip. I'm Coach Chris.
And I'm Coach Robin.
And today we are talking about...
goals!
Goal! You sounded like a soccer game. Not just any goals. We're talking about writing down your goals. A little different spin than we've done in episodes past on goals, which we have done a couple in Check the Archives. But today we're talking specifically about writing them down. And this sort of came from a quote that I had read that was, "A goal that is not written down is nothing more than a wish." I've seen different variations of this, but I think a lot of us don't write things down anymore.
I agree.
I know you're a notebook person. I'm a notebook person. You are always with your notebook. You even have.
I'm holding it right now. It even has writing utensils attached to it.
But it's so easy for us to whip out our phone and go to our notes app, and I know that we're always telling our athletes to physically write things down, and there's a reason for that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. The first part of this is talking a little bit about statistics. So I said you were going to like this episode. We're going to get nerdy. Okay, so we're going to start off with a Harvard business study that recently found out the following related to goal setting. First was 83% of participants in the study had no goals. And that's mind-blowing to me.
Just to literally have no goals.
To literally have no goals. You're just floating along, cruising along, seeing where the wind takes you. 14% of the respondents to the study had plans, but they had not written them down. So they had a mental idea of what they wanted to do. The study found that this group was 10 times more likely to succeed than those that had no goals.
So just having a goal, not even writing it down, but just having one versus not having one makes you 10 times more likely to succeed in the goal.
Just thinking of it.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good start. But 3% of respondents had actually written down their goals, and they were 3 times more likely to succeed than even the group that just thought of goals. So exponentially more likely to be successful in their accomplishing their goals.
Just by writing it down.
Just by writing it down. That's it.
Okay, so what that means is before we move into our bonus miles, you all should go and grab some writing utensils.
There we go. Grab a pen, grab some paper, and we're going to go through the ways and the reasons why writing down your goals can help you be successful in 2024. So go grab your pen and paper and meet us back for your bonus miles.
All right, and on to the bonus miles. So Coach Chris found this stat, so I'm giving you all the nerdy credit here. Other research has shown that people who write down their goals, so physically write them down, are 42% more likely to achieve them than people who don't. I think this is a really big thing for people to remember. It does not take a lot. We don't need you to have a special notebook like I do. You can have a crappy piece of scrap paper and a Sharpie and a piece of tape, and that constitutes you writing down your goal.
That's right. If you have a napkin, you have a Post-it note, it doesn't matter what it is. It does not have to be fancy. You just have to do it, and there's some reasons why. So the first reason why is we learn better when we handwrite things down. And that makes a lot of sense because it's internal and external processing, right? You're thinking about it, and also you're writing it, and you're seeing it written. Neuropsychologists call this the generation effect, and they found that people have better recall for information that they've written and that they've created themselves than something that they've just read. So that's the reason why, if you're in school and you're supposed to be taking notes, There's a reason for that, because actually writing it down, you're hearing it, you're writing it and creating that note, and then you're able to read it and repeat reading it and come back to it. Which helps to dial it in. And that's the same effect that we want for our goals. We want to constantly be reminded of our goals so that we can stay on track. So writing them down has actually scientific rationale behind it. It's more effective for you to create that content through your hand.
All right. Other things that writing goals allows you to do. Physically writing them down, not typing, not thinking of them, putting pen to paper. It helps you clarify them and understand them. So I find that sometimes when I think of something, it's really long when I start, and then I write it again, and it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter, or it becomes better, or it evolves into something that I want it to be. So it really allows for that to happen. It also signals that they're important, right? If you wake up and you have something in front of you that says, I am going to, reach 2,000 miles this year or whatever that is, it signals to you and anyone around you that it is important and that it takes up space.
Mm-hmm. So writing down your goals does help with that recall. It's the internal and external encoding that they call it storage methods in the way that I was reading about it. Like you're storing it in your brain, but you're also storing it on that piece of paper where you can see it when you wake up in the morning. You can put it on your mirror and take a look at it every day in the bathroom. Your brain needs that sort of reminder, and the funny thing about the science is they found this is like when you have handwritten this down and you've signaled to your brain that it's important, your brain will actually help you do what you need to do to accomplish that goal.
That's very important.
Yes.
To remember.
So you are getting your brain on your side, because then you think about you've written down your goal, right? And you have it somewhere you can see it, and you've already committed it to your brain that it's important to you. And when you are thinking about micro-quitting or thinking about shortening something or opting out of something, your brain is reminded that the way that we're going to get to that goal is actually by doing the session or doing what we need to do.
I also think there's something, this is not scientific, but there's something to be said about when we are in such a digital age that we very rarely write. I mean, I even find when I do have to write that, my hand cramps. It's like, well, no, that's just crazy. But I think that when we take the time to write, it has an even more powerful effect and an even more connectedness than, maybe 15, 20 years ago when we were writing a lot more, because it is so drastically different than how we typically, type or tap.
It's almost type or tap. I like that. It's almost a mindfulness activity to handwrite things because it does take so much more time. We were talking earlier about how we listen to our podcasts in 2 times speed, or like faster than 1, and everything is just like go, 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 go. And to actually take the time, you can't speed up handwriting.
Right.
And my apologies to anyone who got a holiday card from me this year and couldn't read it because it's just getting worse and worse.
And so small.
and so small. Writing down your goals is also a constant reminder of what you're working towards. So that repetition of seeing it and seeing it in different places can also help you accomplish those goals.
It keeps you accountable to yourself. I think that I like to keep my goal, if I'm working towards something very specific and tangible, in my bathroom mirror. Mm-hmm. And I don't only use it as like a motivation to get out the door. I also always remember Coach Bennett says, at the end of the day, if you've done the work that you said you were going to do, you should be very proud of looking at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, knowing that, you did things that were hard and elected to, and you're 1% better for it. So I do it both to motivate me and then also to kind of reconcile to that future version of myself that I want to become, that I've taken those steps.
Yeah.
And I like this one a lot. It gives you the opportunity to cross things off, which is very gratifying. So I do this on a daily level. I do this on a weekly level. I do this on a monthly level. I love to cross things off. Usually with like a big fat Sharpie. I don't even want to use a skinny pen. I want like the big Sharpie. And then I'm fine just throwing it out. Like I don't need to keep it and hold on to it forever and ever. Mm-hmm. Some people do. That's cool. But there's something about the fact that like I've done it. It is accomplished, and I'm the one who not only drew the line through, but also made the things happen to draw the line through.
Yeah.
All right, and then again, on reviewing, you can kind of step it up to that goal. So if you are reviewing it periodically, let's say you're reviewing it weekly, this is real similar to what we were talking about the resolution episode just prior to this, in episode 121, where we're talking about bad fitness advice, but we give some good fitness advice too. If we are able to break it up into kind of smaller attainable goals, then that eventually helps us add up, to that bigger goal that we're chasing, and therefore we're more consistent. We see the point. It's a creative kind of smaller chunk review. Yeah,
that makes sense now. So goals are always like a staircase,
yeah.
Right? Like we want to get to the top, but we know we don't get there by jumping to the middle right away. Like it is step by step, and that check-in, reviewing your writing is a good idea. All right, next up is to create an incentive to stay on the path and to have some fun. There are so many different ways that you can do this, but this kind of, for me, goes back to getting other people involved in your goals. So it's about writing them down, and something about writing them down. If you have them posted, other people are going to see them and maybe ask you about them, right? So there's like this accountability piece to yourself, but also to other people. And then you can bring other people into that. And you have a fun way of doing this that I've seen you do over the last, I don't know, how long have you been doing it? A couple of years
The
now.
challenge stuff, yeah. I think 3.5 years. So I really like using an app or a way to engage with our athletes that if maybe they need a little motivation and I need a little bit of accountability, is to set up challenges. So we'll set up like a step challenge or a mileage challenge in Garmin. And sometimes it's to beat each other, but sometimes it's just to make a certain threshold every single day. It started off as, coming off of just being broken and wanting to be able to run continuously, coming out of COVID. And I just wanted to try to hit 10,000 steps a day. And so it was a way with another athlete who he wasn't injured, but he needed, needed some motivation during really the throes of COVID to get outside and get some mojo. So it really, really, really helped. And again, it can stack. Right? Like my goal then was just to be able to run 3 miles continuously without stopping or having pain. That is just as valid as running some, crazy long endurance effort. But at the same time, I knew that I had to hit steps in order to make that happen. And frankly, just be happy.
Yeah, and I know the Whoop does that as well. You could have groups there. So a lot of our fitness technology, we're talking about writing things down, but use your technology for these groups to keep each other accountable. And then also placing a bet. Maybe, having a little bit of skin in the game can help people motivate. And we've seen that here with our challenges. When people have put down a bet on themselves, they are much more likely to accomplish that. The same as, paying for a class.
Yep.
Like if you put money down and you're like, I'm paying for this personal trainer, I'm paying for this class, I'm paying for this coach, you're much more likely to keep yourself online with that. And you also do some of that as well.
Yeah, I do. I place bets, again, using apps on, whether it's like push-up streaks or, hitting certain mileages. That's against, like a program. But I think specifically with the challenge, which the next one's starting now on January 7th. So if you're interested in that, check our social channels and sign up for a time to chat with us. That's a really creative way because it costs money, but there is a portion of it where you can win it back and put it towards services. And people really like that they've earned it. And I think that the skin in the game thing is really helpful. I have another athlete who was having trouble building his run volume and maintaining strength. It was the thing that kept falling off, yet he knows it's the thing that's going to allow him to carry a heavier volume. So he would Venmo me $300, and I, of course, wouldn't touch it. It just sits there. And then at the end of the month, assuming that he hit 12 classes, then I would Venmo it back to him. And to this day, we're at a net zero. I just trade it straight back.
Yeah. Just that 300 going back and forth. But it's super helpful, and it's an investment in yourself. Thinking about that bet. And this also, like as a side note, you need to have reasonable goals and you need to have smart goals, so check our past episodes about that. But creating that reward for milestones or for achievement, or in this case it's micro goals, right? It's like that 1 week goal. So in this week I'm going to accomplish this many push-ups or whatever it is. Having some sort of carrot that you're chasing can be really helpful.
And then also on this, making it fun. I mean, really speaking of that carrot, like a reward. I'm a big reward girl. Like our first time we raced Ironman, we said we're going to get cowboy boots. That was like,
I've never seen you wear cowboy boots.
I have them. I wore them in Wyoming. But that was our thing, is that we really wanted to have those just like as like a fun thing in our wardrobe, and that was what we had to do in order to earn them. So I think that's what I was screaming down that finishing chute.
Cowboy boots.
Yeah, why not? But it was something tangible that I knew I would earn upon achieving the goal, and it was also kind of playful and fun and exciting. So it spiced it up.
And I love those types of rewards, right? So you like doing an Ironman is a big goal. Moving every day is a smaller goal, but it can be really big for folks. And so a lot of times I think when people are thinking about goals, they're thinking about like a cheat meal or a reward.
I agree
like,
with you.
It's like having alcohol on the weekend, or it's a piece of cake, or it's having, a meal out. And thinking about it in terms of that, when I did one of my first Ironman, I bought a suit.
There you go.
And I had a little embroidery on the inside that kind of marked that moment. And
that's good.
Yeah, and so like that was a very cool reward that I then think back on that accomplishing that goal, which was a lot of little goals leading up to it. Being really proud every time that I wear that suit, because and you've never seen me in a suit.
Yeah.
Either, so.
We're gonna have to do a dinner. Right?
We're gonna do it.
We'll bring you all along.
But yeah, these are special rewards that we've given ourselves for keeping our promises to ourselves, which is what these goals are.
And on the shorter end of that, we have athletes that especially will go through challenges, and they know that like by nature of being in the challenge, there isn't like a cheat day. So instead, they will, when they hit their third workout, they'll take a bath. Mm-hmm. Right? Or mm-hmm. like for me, sometimes if I don't feel like running, I'm like, well, I want to do a face mask. So if I do my run, then I get to do my face mask, right? And so it's almost like it's a level of self-care. Mm-hmm. That's the reward, which is then just helping you kind of reset and recover, which is really awesome way to do it.
Yeah, and healthy, still working towards your goals as well.
And then your skin looks better too.
Right. All right, and then also when writing down your goals, be open to adjusting those goals. So what inspired you initially might change over time, or you might be at a point in your progress where you need to choose a different direction. And so be open to doing that.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb here is like if it continues to give you a lot of energy, like you see it and you feel that spark and you're like, oh yeah, let's go. It doesn't have to be every single day, but overall, mm-hmm. Then stick with it. But if you start to look at it and it starts to feel pretty heavy and you're almost like avoiding it, then that is something where you're going to want to probably change and pivot that goal. There's nothing wrong with it, but really be in tune to how that feels. This is not an athletic goal, but I have an athlete who was really thinking about going for a big test at work. And it was an important test. It's something that they said that they would be interested in doing. They were going to give it a go. And then as that work continued to pick up in tandem with marathon training, mm-hmm. it became this thing that was just like taking up so much time and really kind of sucking their soul out. And it was a very heavy emotional thing. And as soon as they decided to just cut that part out, guess what happened? Everything felt better, right? Yeah. And they decided to pivot their energy onto a different goal. And that was it's a big adult learning moment.
Yeah, it is. And, this episode is about running, but it's also not about running. It's about goal setting in all different areas of your life. And I tell my athletes as well that your goal needs to light you up, right? It needs to be something that you feel maybe a little nervous about, but also really, really excited to go through the process of trying to accomplish it. And, I think there are certain instances where maybe we don't have the opportunity to choose those goals. We have to have a goal that maybe doesn't always feel so fun. But I think you're right. I don't think Lexi Pappas's rule of thirds applies to goals.
No.
I think it needs to be overwhelmingly positive or exciting or something that you really think that you'll feel proud to accomplish versus something that to what you said feels like a dark cloud over your head every day. You are a lot less likely, I don't have a stat on that, but I can just say you are a lot less likely to accomplish your goal if it feels that heavy.
So don't be afraid to adjust.
Exactly.
To recap, we know that you've written everything down, but just in case, people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them than those who do not. I feel like I'm going to go write some goals on my mirror today.
Exactly. Today's the day to do it. And good job. You're 42% more likely for just having taken notes in this episode. We know that we learn better when we handwrite things down, so write those goals down.
We also know that we need to review our written goal periodically. So, if we needed to kind of check in weekly on how that's going, do it. I also would love the idea of like journaling,
mm-hmm.
And talking about that goal and how it's making you feel and the things you're doing to stack toward it.
Mm-hmm. Create incentives so that you stay on your path and make sure that you're having some fun along the way.
If you want to set up a challenge with me, DM me. And finally, be open to adjusting your goal. If it starts to feel heavy, it might be time to shift things.
We have plenty of episodes about goal setting in the past in the archives. Check out specifically episode 41 and 70 for more information about creating smart, specific goals and how to frame up your goals. But make sure that you are writing them down so that you can accomplish them this year.
All right. I can't wait to see them. If you are wanting to share them on social media, please tag Edge Athlete Lounge, the Chris Mosier, and at coach.robin with a Y. We would love to see them.
We will keep you accountable.
Later.
Thanks for listening to Coach Quip. Original music performed by Mend. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.